next up, we're going to hear from our title sponsor. I'm going to switch things up today. So title sponsor means that they sponsor us for the entire year and help us to get equipment and everything like that, and all the incidentals and everything like that. So I'd like to introduce Chris from Reverse Dealer.
Good morning, everybody. And a thing about the title sponsor, the reason we do this is because we're a totally different dealership. We don't make anything like what a regular dealership does. Our whole goal is just to help give money back to buyers and sellers. So our new concept, what we do is we help people sell their vehicles for a fair price. We take pictures, videos, and then market their vehicles to the public for them. And the whole concept is just to have a win-win-win. So that's what these people are over here. And our number one thing is giving back to these small communities and the small businesses, and that's what most people are here. We all don't make tons of money, so we want to stick to our local community and help each other grow our businesses. So that's what we do, and that's why we're here, and that's why we title sponsor this. So thank you guys.
And lastly, our sweet location sponsor. We'll hear from Jenna Golday. No, do you have a new last name?
No. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, that was awkward. From Bull Skate Comics. Sorry.
I just got married. Hi, thank you. It's like AA. Good morning. I'm Jenna. I run this facility you guys are in today. We're the Scott Black Theater. We have Bull Skate Comedy, Red Deer Players, Treehouse Youth Theater are in here. We also do special events like weddings and different community events. We're hosting the workshop in our other space, which if you look through the curtain, through the door, and through the wall, you'll see another space. And I always love when people try to do that. Yeah, I can see through that. Yes, we have another space in the back that holds 60 people. This space holds 350 people, which is always shocking when we get that many people in here. But yeah, so if you're interested in having an event here, please talk to me. We'd love to host your event. We love hosting this event. We hope we can keep doing it here because we have tons of space. And yeah, it's a great place. If anyone has anyone heard of Bull Skate, by the way? That's what it is. Right? Awesome. Yeah, so we do improv sketch and sketch. That's what we do. And so it's lots of fun. This weekend we have a show with an amazing lady from Amsterdam. So if you're not going to the Westerner, come here. We have beer. And this amazing hilarious woman from Amsterdam. So if you guys want to check it out, that's Saturday night. So thank you.
We have a workshop after with Tad. It's in the back room there. Even if you haven't signed up, you're welcome to join us. We'll start at 10 o'clock and it'll run till 5 with an hour and a half break for lunch. So the speaker. So when he isn't hosting potlucks, spending too much time on Facebook, designing a new product, or puttering at Nourish Cafe in Edmonton on his laptop, he's likely working on the localgood.ca, a project he co-funded in 2008, which has become one of Edmonton's leading hubs for green and local lifestyles. Tad seems to have spent much of his adult life building community around positive change and creating events for people to come together to make good things happen. We love that. Tad's work has been featured in publications from the Edmonton Journal, Alberta Venture, the Edmonton Sun, the Globe and Mail, excuse me, Alberta Report, Ed Magazine, React Magazine, and nationally on CBC Radio. So now he can add Social Media Breakfast Red Deer to the list. Please welcome Tad Hargrave.
Can you hear me? Do I need to use this? Would it be easier for the video if I use it?
It's not too bad.
Well, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me, and it's good to be here on a few levels, to be in this theater. I've done improv comedy since grade 10, and also performed with Jenna in Edmonton, so it's great to be here and see this for the first time. And so I run a business called marketingforhippies.com, and help hippies with their marketing. And so it's always a strange thing to be dropping in like this with a group of people I don't know who do things that I don't know what they are without the time to really find out what it's all about. And there's the hope that what I have to say might be useful for you, and I don't know. So I'm offering all of this. I've been doing this for the last 15 years, traveling around, working with folks, helping them figure out a way to market that doesn't feel gross. Because I think if we're candid, a lot of what's out there in marketing and sales doesn't feel that good. Can anyone relate to this at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So trying to help people craft some approach to marketing that could actually genuinely feel good for them and for the people receiving it. Because there are tremendous consequences, of course, if the marketing doesn't feel good. If it doesn't feel good to do, you won't do it. And if it doesn't feel good to receive, there's an impact of that on your business. As you know, if you've been to a business and gotten marketed to or sold to in a way that didn't feel good, it does some damage to your own business. But there's also the impact on the marketplace. One of my colleagues, George Cow, talked about, he said, if you want to know if a marketing approach is really sustainable, it's good to, man, my evaluation will just be right here.
Moment by moment.
So he was talking about, if you want to know if something's really ethical or sustainable, to look at any marketing approach and ask yourself, what if everyone in the marketplace did this approach? What would happen to the marketplace? And the answer to that is sometimes devastating. The answer to that is sometimes that there would be a real loss of trust in the marketplace. And the answer to it is look at the marketplace right now. And the loss of trust there is in a lot of things, that we don't believe it because we've been lied to so many times. So what I want to do is talk about something I'll go into more in the workshop, but what I see as the 3 rules of marketing. Because I think sometimes the way we look at marketing your sales is there's one rule, and that rule is to get people to say yes, to go get the close, to get people to sign up. I don't know if that, raise your hand if you've gone through any traditional sales training. Anyone? Okay, so that probably sounds familiar. Some iteration of that. That's the bottom line. The ABCs of closing, always be closing. There's a challenge with that as the consequence. Because let's say I was up here trying to sell you something, and the only goal was to get you to say yes. That justifies a lot of terrible behavior, a lot of manipulative tactics, etc. And let's say I was really successful and I sold all of you on this thing, whatever it was I was selling. I would go to my colleagues and say, hey, I just sold everybody. And they would say, oh, that's really great. Yeah, 100%, man, that's unreal. That's successful. The challenge is, if it wasn't a fit for everybody, let's say it was only a fit for that chunk of the room, but the rest of you it wasn't good for. What that means is that they're going to have a good experience, but the rest of you would not. And marketing is word of mouth. The fundamental engine of marketing has always been, will always be word of mouth. People having a certain experience and talking about it. So if you have a mediocre to negative experience, which is what you'll have if it isn't a fit for you, that's what you're going to talk about when you leave. And that's going to be the buzz. So, and it gets worse if it was a workshop or something, where it's a collective experience. Because now, let's say the workshop was a fit for these people, it's totally designed for them, but the rest of y'all are there. And it's not a fit for you. You're just going to kill the buzz for them, which means they're not going to have a good experience either. And everybody leaves just crying. So I want to submit that this idea of going for the sale is the reason marketing feels terrible. That agenda to get the sale is what screws everything up. But what does that mean? Do we just let that go and we just have no agenda anymore? And somebody asked, hey, can I work with you? And I said, well, maybe. So I'd love to talk to you about your business if you want that. Okay. It's not that. There's still an agenda. But I want to submit that the major agenda, overarching everything, is to get to the truth. of is it a fit? And there are actually 3 rules in marketing that every piece of marketing you ever do has to fulfill. The first one is it's got to get their attention. If it doesn't get their attention, of course, pointless. And we tend to think, I think in marketing, of getting attention being like social media campaigns, outrageous headlines, huge shocking images that we get their attention. Raise your hand if you heard about this event from somebody you know. Ta-da! You know. And if we push the rest of you a little further who didn't raise your hand, we'd probably find out that that was actually what it was. So that's the reality. Word of mouth is the dominant thing that gets people's attention. You know, when I travel around doing my workshops in Toronto at 60 people, and I ask them that question, and almost everybody raised their hand. A few people didn't. I was like, well, how'd you hear about it? Oh, well, on Facebook. From who? From this friend that I trust. Oh, yeah, okay. So the marketing has to do that. It's got to get their attention. The second thing it's got to do is it's got to filter. Meaning it's got to establish if it's a fit or not. That's huge. That is the heavy lifting in marketing. And number 3, it's got to lower the risk of taking the first step. It's got to make it very easy for them to take that first step to move towards working with you. So there's 3. So there's it's got to get their attention, it's got to filter, and it's got to lower the risk. I'll just let you all tweet that. So if the goal of marketing is to get to the truth of this 4-word question, is it a fit? If that's it, if we're filtering for that, that means we actually have to know who our business is a fit for. And most businesses have no idea. If you ask them, so who's this a fit for? That's the best for everybody. This can help just all the people. Everybody this could work for. And that's not true. You know, you're a massage therapist. And it's like, yeah, this massage helps everybody. I mean, because it's, you know, yoga, man, this is just everybody could be helped by yoga. But it's not true. And your style won't be for everybody. Your approach to it, your philosophy, your vibe won't be for everybody. And so marketing becomes then more of a filtering process. I'll share one example of something I've done. Well, here's something. Has anyone ever had anyone ask them for a refund in what you do? Anyone? The rest of you liars. No, but yeah, so you get asked for a refund sometimes. This is going to happen. And when you get asked for a refund, you should just collapse at their feet and just shower rose petals on them. Because they're giving you feedback. And the feedback they're giving you fundamentally is, this was not a fit for me. Period. It's the truth. So it's not a fit for them. So then we ask them, we say, okay, I believe you. What was missing in my marketing and sales process that had you not understand that this wasn't a fit for you? I promise you there's something missing. Yeah, there's something that wasn't there that had them think it was a fit. I sold an ebook, for those of you coming to my workshop later, sorry, I'm going to say this again. But I was selling an ebook around niching, figuring out your niche market. And a woman bought it and then emailed me upset. And she said, man, like it just seemed overhyped, and like I reread the sales letter, and nothing you said in the sales letter was untrue, but it felt like it gave an impression that it was some other kind of thing. I was looking for more of a nuts and bolts how-to, and this was more giving examples and making the case for niching. And so I reread the sales letter. When I asked her, I said, what was missing? And she said, well, you know, it was this and this. And I read the sales letter, and I said, oh man, and it's embarrassing, because, you know, none of us want to have hypey marketing, and yet still sometimes it sneaks in. And you look back on it 6 months later, you're like, I can't believe I wrote that. So I had that moment, and I rewrote it, and I added the piece about this is probably not a fit for you if you're looking for a how-to, if you're, you know, you already get that niching is the thing you need to do. And I sent her the sales letter. I said, what do you think about it now? And she's like, it's so good, this is great, I totally would not have bought this. That's success. That's the thing I want to have land. That's not failure. That's a higher order of success. The wrong people not buying your stuff, is success. It seems like success, oh, we got more people. Great, yeah. And then they bought it and they didn't like it and they talk trash about you all the time. That's not success. That's a way to kill your business slowly. So something I started doing, because I would do these 6-week online programs, and they were a little bit more money, and I started having people ask for refunds. But still, sometimes people would be asking for refunds, even though my sales letter specifically told them somebody like you should not sign up. So I'd be like, is there anything missing? And they'd be like, yeah, I should have said this. And I'm like, it did. Screenshot, here's the... but I started to realize there's something missing in my process if they're missing that. And so normally in a thing like this, you have the sales page, right? And they click the buy now button and it takes them to the payment page. So what I started doing was inserting something in the middle. And I called it the Are You Sure page. And so basically when they clicked the purchase button, instead of letting them buy, we take them to a page where there's a video of me at the top being like, hey, thank you so much. I'm super flattered that you want to sign up for this program. And if you're like me, you probably skimmed through that sales letter because it's real long. I get it. And there's actually important stuff for you to read. And so I've cut and pasted the most important stuff, and I've put that below, and I'm going to ask you actually read it right now. And once you've read it, I'm going to invite you to sit for a couple minutes with it just to really check, is this the right thing for you? Is this the right timing? Is this the right program for you? And if it is, I'm really happy to have you come. And if not, I hope I'll see you down the road somewhere else. And the responses I got from that, one, the people who realized it wasn't a fit, emailed me saying thank you. Because they'd never seen anything like that. They're like, thank you. I realized I'm about to go traveling and I was excited to be in it, but I wasn't actually going to apply anything. And the people who were in were like twice as in. Does that make sense? They were like, because now they really thought about it and they realized this is totally a fit. This is exactly what I need right now. And they were even more excited to be in. So, did it mean less people signing up? I bet it did. I bet there were people who probably would have paid me. But those are people who would have had a shittier experience. So, we avoid that. Yeah. It's so big, this filtering thing. So the challenge is to look at the people who aren't a fit. Because you all have had clients like that too. We're just like, why am I dealing with you at all? They're the ones that make you hate your business. And if you can, you should fire them as clients, probably. If it's that extreme. But don't just get rid of them without learning something and putting it in your sales process, a marketing process that would filter them out. Marketing is not just a seduction thing, or not just. Marketing, my understanding of marketing is it's not seduction and it's not convincing, it's primarily filtering. Yeah? I don't want to just stand up here and try to get everyone into the sales funnel. Yes, that doesn't say don't have a good offer. That doesn't say don't have a compelling, pitch and all of that. Don't create really good packages. Yes, that. And in front of it, there's a screen that filters out anyone who shouldn't be in there. Because what happens if you do that is everyone who goes in, it's a fit for. And they have a really good experience. And they rave about you to everybody else. And can you be strategic about the word of mouth marketing and helping them spread the word? Yeah. But the only reason they're going to do it is if they have a great experience and they want to talk about it in the first place. People think, with word of mouth marketing, there's a confusion of, you got to pay people to talk or incentivize or always affiliate this or strategic partnership that. As soon as there's money in it, it's not word of mouth anymore. You're bribing people to talk. Which isn't wrong, it's just not word of mouth at all. Word of mouth there's an independence to it. And so if they have a good experience, if they have a good experience, they'll tell this many people. If they have a bad experience, they tell that many people. And if they have a bad experience that you turn around and make good, they'll tell this many people. So the marketing strategy is give people a terrible first experience, but have a way to fix it. No, but you get it. So that's my understanding of marketing. That marketing, if we're going to have our marketing actually feel good to us and to them, it's got to be focused on the truth of, is it a fit? Not how do we get them to say yes. Until them saying yes or them saying no are weighted equally for us, we're going to be manipulating people. And that there's 3 roles of marketing that are not about getting them to say yes. So the first is we get their attention, so they're actually noticing us. The second is we filter to establish, is it a fit? So it's a 2-way conversation. They're checking us out to see, is this a fit for me? And we're trying to help them figure that out. But we are also filtering them of like, oh yeah, are you a fit as a client? Are you somebody I could actually help? And if not, we let them go. Bless and release. And third, we lower the risk of taking the first step, and we make it really easy for them. Because sometimes it can be a fit. It can be this is exactly what they need, and they know it, and they still won't buy. They still won't take the step because it's too big a step that we're asking them to take. So we've got to lower the risk. We've got to make it easier. And lowering the risk, by the way, word of mouth is probably one of the top ways that risk gets lowered. Just because enough of your friends tell you it's great, and even though you don't know anything about it, you show up, you buy it. Guarantees, testimonials, all of those things can be ways to lower the risk. So I think that's all I have to say to start off.
So in the filtering, how do you, so you're filtering them as well, obviously.
Yeah.
How do you, if you know it's not a good fit, how do you deal with that?
You can just tell them. You can just, if you're, it depends, I guess, the context. But if I was, let's say I had because I am going to be starting a 6-month coaching program coming up. And it's going to be by application only. So people have to apply to be in because I actually want to know, can I help them? And if it isn't, I would just tell them it's like, you know what, I don't think this is a fit. I don't think I can help you because of X, Y reason. I don't think the niche is tight enough, or you're in this kind of business that I actually don't know a lot about. But here's who I would suggest talking to. Has anyone had that happen where you went to a business, they're like, I can't help you, but I'll tell you who can? Has anyone ever had that?
No.
Yeah. It's the greatest feeling. It's like, thank you for putting my needs above your need for profit. And you're actually much more likely to refer business to them in the future. Because there can be a clarifying conversation where it's like, you know what? I would love to help you. I don't think I can. I don't think I'm the right person, but I have a colleague who, because let's say you go to a doctor or a naturopath or somebody, and you've got a certain health condition, and they say, you know what? Yeah, you get migraines. I can help generally with that, but I have a colleague of mine who specializes in this. They're really, really good with migraines. They have an incredible success rate, and let me send you to them. I tend to work more around, let's say, digestive disorders. That's kind of my specialty. So then I start to realize, I should probably focus more on the digestive stuff in my marketing. But also, when they leave then, and then they're talking to a friend down the road, it's like, yeah, I'm having all this digestive stuff. You're like, there's this person I saw, and they couldn't help me, but I'm remembering now that they focused on that. And because they were so honest and candid, you're much more willing to refer. So to me, it's just having an honest conversation of, is this a fit or not? And walking into the conversation with that as the mindset. Because there's, everyone try this. Put your hands up like this. Put your hands together. And push as hard as you can with your left hand. Push, push. I didn't say push back with your right, but push with your left hand. I didn't say push back with your right. Push with your left hand. Why are any of your hands still up? Isn't that funny? First of all, I didn't say push back, but your right hand was just, you will not oppress me. Take this, the man, just the instinctive pushback that happens. Even when I said, hey, I didn't say push back, y'all were like, whatever. I said it twice. And some of your hands moved a little bit, but you didn't, it wasn't just like that, because there was still some resistance. That's what happens with marketing and selling when it's trying to get to the yes. There's this instinctive, out of the need for autonomy, we push back against it. Of course we do. You should. That's proper. Yeah, and it's proper that they do too. So if we walk into a conversation with that as the hidden agenda in the back of our mind, that's the result that we get, is this pushback. And it can look a lot of different ways. It can look like, it can look like them lying to us and us not knowing it. One of my colleagues, Ari Galper, he sold a lot of technology stuff, and he was on a conference call. And at the end of the call, and they were like, this is great, all right, this is wonderful, this is exactly what we're looking for, thank you so much. And it was like an hour long, and he'd like given a lot of value, answered a lot of questions. Then he hung up. But when he hung up, he accidentally hit the mute button, not the hang up button. It was on a conference call thing. And so he hangs up, and he hears this, great, okay, so definitely not gonna go with him, but I think we got the information that we needed, you know? And he realized they just lied to him the whole time. They just worked him. Because it is socially acceptable to lie to salespeople. So we've all done it. You know, shopping around, oh yeah, I could be interested, and we're not, we know we're not. Because there's a certain dehumanizing of salespeople. Because there's been a dehumanizing of prospects. So the whole thing is a dehumanizing game. And that's what, where the pressure comes from. It comes from the hidden agenda, but it also comes from them seeing us as salespeople. As soon as they put you in that box, yeah, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. That's ancient Rome. This is not a new dynamic in the marketplace of people not trusting the merchants or the salespeople. So as soon as that even gets triggered, so the role of a salesperson is fundamentally not about getting better at closing or overcoming objections. It's about diffusing pressure. And that starts with actually knowing the pressure is there and that that's a thing and it doesn't belong. Once we know there's a pressure, we can become skillful at diffusing it. And sometimes that just looks like saying, so the point of this conversation, I'm not trying to sell you on this, I'm just trying to see if this is a fit for you and for me. You know, so I know you have some questions, I have some questions for you, let's just see. And if they start, if you can feel the pressure coming, you can just step back and be like, I'm really not trying to sell you on this. Really. You know. But then the marketing, you know, I'm a big fan. Peter Drucker had the line, he said, the purpose of marketing is to make selling redundant. Meaning the marketing, the filtering process is so good, you wouldn't be sitting down with somebody to sell them unless it was like probably going to happen, is the goal. Yeah. Any other questions?
It's maybe a silly question, but our son is just getting ready to go to business school
Okay.
in the fall. Are they teaching this approach?
No. Anyone else go to business school? Can I get a name in? That's not. No. In fact, in my workshops, I've had a lot of people come to me and say, "I wish I'd learned this instead of what they taught me there." Yeah. Sadly, no. I don't know what they teach in business school these days. Yeah, but there's not a lot of this. I don't think they teach any of the like hardcore, aggressive, gross marketing stuff at all. But that stuff is still out there, sadly. I mean, now it gets dressed up these days, gussied up as like conscious marketing, heart-based marketing. And it's still a lot of the same thing, in my experience. Yeah. Any other questions?
So how do you get noticed more than
Right, how do you get noticed? Yeah, how do you get their attention? I mean, word of mouth sounds nice, but there's got to be some kind of conversation. I mean, there's a whole lot. I think fundamentally it starts with having something that's, having some sort of a niche in the marketplace. And raise your hand if you've heard that term, niche marketing, before. Yeah. Okay. So niche marketing, it's good to know what it means. It's good to know where words come from. Does anyone know where the word niche comes from? Interesting, eh? We talk about it, we bandy it about, and we have no idea where it comes from. Like most of the words that we use, I suppose. So niche comes from the French verb nicher, which means to make a nest. To make a nest. So that's kind of what we're doing in niching, is we're making ourselves a little home. The way I would define niche, it often gets defined basically as target market. Your niche is who you're trying to reach. I want to define it a little differently. I would say your niche is your role in the marketplace, or your role in the community. And for business specifically, it's the role, your niche is the role in the marketplace you want to be known for. So that's got to be there first. If we want people to talk about us, there's got to be some role that we play. And that role could be based on Your niche can be based on who you're reaching, but also what you do and how you do it. But there's got to be something that's different, because generic is not something people talk about. You know, you've never heard this conversation. It's like, oh man, I hired this plumber. He's exactly like every other plumber. It was amazing. So great. He fixed it in an average amount of time. He charged me a reasonable amount, just like you never get that. He did not fix it right the first time. He overestimated the first quote, came back and had to refix it. Just like everybody else. You should hire this guy. You know, I went to this car lot to buy a car. They used some strong-arm tactics on me, like I've had in other experiences. I did not trust the salesperson. You should go check it out. This was great. Went to get a massage, and it was typical. It felt good, but not too good, you know. Man, going back there sometime. That brunch place, their eggs Benny, it was basic. I could probably make it myself at home like that. Check it. You know what I'm saying? So people don't talk about generic. They talk about something that's unusual. Seth Godin wrote a book called Purple Cows. Or Purple Cow, where he was driving in France and he saw these dairy cows. He was very excited. I guess where he came from, there were no dairy cows. So he's like, look at all the cows, and here, there's cows. I was just in Iceland too, and we had this experience of like, has anyone been to Iceland? So you'll verify this, you're driving, and it's like, look at this waterfall! Oh my God, it's incredible! It's like gorgeous, like, you know, from a movie kind of waterfall. Then you just turn the corner, it's like, there's another, it's even better! And there's a certain point where you're like, this is another waterfall. And some of them are just like mind-blowing. If you just walked onto the scene, you just like stop and have to be there for an hour admiring it. But there's hundreds of these. It's like, look, there's a natural hot spring right next to that natural hot spring, right there. Everywhere. So, yeah, there's a certain point. So Seth Godin was like noticing all these cows. He's like, man, if I saw a purple cow, that would have my attention again. Because it just got old after a while. So it's the constant thing in the marketplace of needing to innovate and having something that is different, having something that does grab his attention worthy again. So this idea of niche as a role in the marketplace, the challenge is niche always has to change. I mean, there's two reasons your niche is always going to be changing. Number one is you're going to change. You're going to grow. Your interest will be different. So something's going to shift there. But number two, the marketplace will change. You know, hello Blockbuster. You know, vinyl records and all that. The marketplace totally changed, and so that whole industry had to change. So we've got to figure out something. You know, there's also, you know, branding, unique selling proposition, all these things, but something about our business that's different. So let's say you're the only yoga teacher in town. Niching solved. You're it. People want to do yoga, they come to you. That is a niche. You're the only one doing this. You do have a unique role in the marketplace. But then let's say some other yoga teachers come in. You get 2 more, 3 more. Suddenly there's 10, there's 20. Now it's one way to look at it is like competition. It's like, how do I crush all these, you know, burn their yoga studios overnight? Like, oh, I'm so sorry. That's one approach. Then they get the insurance money, they rebuild even better. Oh, damn it. So you could do that, or you could look at it and say, okay, there's now a lot more yoga studios in town. What is it that I want to do? What's the unique thing that I want to bring? And maybe you decide, I want to focus on prenatal, postnatal yoga, and you kind of niche down. But man, even within yoga, because people, again, there's this generic, if you're just like, I'm a yoga teacher, you know, that's not a very compelling niche these days, because there's so many. Come to my classes, do asanas, there's breathing and meditation, unique. It's like everybody else does that. Yeah, but we have mats. You don't just do it on the floor. We roll on a mat, and you're on the mat on the floor. Everyone does that. Yeah, but at the end, we all put our hands together and say namaste. This is really everywhere. It's about $15 a class. Again, there's nothing different about what you're... I trained with somebody who was trained by somebody who was trained by somebody in India. Okay, that's, again, not unusual. Yoga for, I've heard of punk rock yoga, where they do punk rock music throughout it. I've heard of people doing, there's one that was like redneck yoga, where they took, this is a real thing, but where they took country songs, like Christian country songs, and they would take the lyrics from that, and then they would connect that to like the mystical Christianity, kind of Gnostic Christianity. Like, here's what the original meaning of that, the Aramaic, and how it translated differently. And then they would connect that to the Vedas. So like reaching rednecks with this stuff. And they're just, well, no, what the Gospel of Thomas actually said was, you know. There's that. Ganja yoga, where people would just like a little bit before class. There was a yoga where they would have a wine before and after, but they would talk about it as a sacrament and as a this is the spirits and the spirit. And there's dubstep yoga. My friend Graham in Edmonton does. He travels around to festivals and they do it. And he's like super into like low frequency beats and the impact of that on our nervous system and everything. But so they'll start off kind of dancing, and then they call it getting low. And then they kind of go down to the ground, and then they start doing some yoga for like half an hour, and then they come out of it dancing again. There's a big dance party. And that's not even talking about all the different styles of yoga, yeah? Moksha, Bikram, Vinyasa, I could go on. You get it. There's a lot of different ways you could do it, groups for whom you could do it, styles you could have. I went to one yoga class. It was a yin yoga class, and she told stories. All the stories from the Vedas. So it was like storytelling in it, and I was like, oh, this is so different. I've never had that experience before. I've had some friends who combined life coaching and yoga. So you do some yoga, but you get with a partner and you'd ask each other certain questions. So it was like a kind of partner coaching plus yoga. So there's so many different ways to do any business. But so if we want people to talk about our business, one thing Seth Godin said is if you want people to make remarks about your business, it has to be remarkable. Worthy of remark. There's got to be something about it that's like people would want to talk about. And that often comes from looking at the marketplace and just like, what's missing? What's not here that I feel called to bring? And to stay current on that, because you're going to innovate, and then everyone else will be like, that was a really good idea. It was a good response. Now we're all doing it. And you can, you can't stop the rain. That's just going to happen. But then you just keep innovating. You keep thinking, okay, what's missing? What's missing? And then you bring that. And if you do that, there will be, and that's not all of it. I would say, I'll just do this very quick, because like this could be a whole day workshop. There's kind of 3 things for word of mouth. I'll do them in a reverse order. So the number 3 is you want to make it worthwhile for people to spread the word. And worthwhile, I mean, I'm just talking about acknowledging that people have done it. Saying thank you to people who've spread the word. That's big. Because if you've ever had the experience where you talked up somebody's business, and you know for a fact that your friends have gone, and they never acknowledged that you sent people, there's a certain point where you're going to stop doing it. And it's petty. You know it's petty, and you still won't. That's very common. So just thanking people, acknowledging people. I had a friend, Tom St. Louis, who was working with a law firm, and their referrals had kind of dried up at a certain point. And they were like, okay, well, they've referred everyone they know. And they've referred a lot of people, so reasonable. And Tom was just like, I don't know if that's true. And they were like, well, no, because we've asked, and there's no more. So he said, well, okay. He said, but if that's true, let's throw a client appreciation party. And they're like, yeah, that sounds good, because they've sent us a lot of business. So they had a party, and in their minds, they were just like, this is just thank you. There was no agenda to get anything, because they didn't see that there's anything to get. So it's just a party. They're like, you have sustained our livelihoods and given us a chance to do, what we're here to do. Thank you so much. So it was very sincere. And referrals after that party went up again. So just making it worthwhile, acknowledging it, thanking them. Sometimes that can be financially, though again, I think that shifts it from word of mouth a bit. So that's number 3. The second thing, you've got to make it easy for people to spread the word. And this is a big one. People will be like, hey, can you spread the word about my event on social media? Here's a PDF. Why are you emailing me a PDF? What am I going to do with this PDF? Or like, I'm going to sit there and just make a list of my friends to email it to. Maybe if I love the person a lot, like a lot, I'll do that. But otherwise, do you get it? There's friction now. Like, oh, I have to think about it. That's true. I didn't even get into some of the crazier ones. Yeah, so, there's that. Or somebody says, hey, can you spread the word about this event on Facebook? And it's like, yeah, but it's, what is it? And I'm trying to, now if I have to sit down and think of the wording myself, that's friction. So we want to make it easy. So like if you want people to spread the word about your event on social media, give them pre-written stuff. Like here are 3 samples of tweets, edit as you like. And people often will, they'll edit it, but it's like here's a little write-up about it. Here's 3 pre-written tweets with the hashtags in it already, so that it's going to be there. And here's a pre-written Facebook post, again, edit as you like. So they can literally just cut and paste. When people do this to me, I'm just like, thank you. You understand how busy my life is. That I don't have time to necessarily, with every single person who asks me to help them, to sit down and craft a really excellent thing. But you write it as if it's from them, so you make it easy for them to spread the word. Making it easy to spread the word is also having a URL that people can remember. I used my friend Dylan, Toymaker, he made these necklaces. And they were amazing. It was like a copper wiring, recycled copper wiring wrapped around a crystal, and there was a LED battery artfully designed in, and the switch, and when you flicked it, there was a little LED light that would light up the crystal. And back in the festival days, But whenever I'd wear it, people would comment on it. People come up and be, ooh, oh my God, they're probably maybe high on something at the time. Anyways, they'd be very excited about it. They say, oh, who made this? I say, oh, my friend Dylan. I say, oh, well, does he have a website? Yeah. What is it? Oh, yeah, it's electronic-ouroboros.com. Right? And then I try to spell Ouroboros, and good luck. I want to spell that with dubstep in the background. It's hard. So if the URL is difficult to remember, very difficult for people to spread the word. We want to make it easy, if not inevitable, that people spread the word. Here's a simple way you can spread the word. Here's, if you have a massage studio and you have a lot of space for new clients, don't just be like, hey, the highest compliment you can give us is a referral. Womp womp. It's like they're going to remember. Why? It's not like they. Here's a truth that nobody's sitting at home being like, wait a second, before we eat, let's think about our friend running that business. Business is hard. Let's say a prayer for them and think about people we can refer to them. Amen. Doesn't happen. But so if you ran a massage studio, you could create a certificate that's worth 30 minutes of a 30-minute massage for free. And you could then give that to your favorite clients. And say, I'm giving this to you, you're one of my favorite clients. I would love it. I'd love to work with more people like you. I wish all my clients were like you. So I'm giving you a couple of these. This is worth 30 minutes massage. Give them something to spread. And then when those people call to book, you could say, if you'd like to upgrade to an hour, $25, 90 minutes, $50, because you still make money on it. That works really well. But you're giving them something physical. I had a friend, Tammy Johnston from Calgary, who runs a business called The Financial Guides. She used to do these day-long workshops. And at the end of it, she'd say, and it was a $50 for the workshop or $75 for a couple. She'd give everyone 2 free tickets to the next one. And she said, if you like this workshop, and talk about filtering and being kind of polarizing a bit, this lady swore like a sailor. She was just extreme. She used to work in the bank, so she's so angry at the financial system. Take your money, sons of bitches. she would just go off. And I sent this one lady who was just the sweetest, new ageiest, gentlest, I'm allergic to everything kind of lady. And I asked her, how was the workshop? She was just like, it was too much. Wasn't it fit? I should have known. Anyways, she'd say, yeah, if you know a couple, if you like this workshop, you know a couple that you think this would be helpful for, here's 2 free tickets to the next one. And eventually everyone was coming on those free things. But she gave them something physical to actually pass on. That makes it easier for people to do. You know, there's that. Even me coming to Red Deer. Raise your hand if you've ever heard about me before. Okay, so there's a few of you. Why the hell didn't you come to Edmonton? What the hell? You know, so, but you get the idea. It's like, because I'm here, it's easy. That's another example. I'm saying there's a lot of ways to make it easy. So, number 3, we want to make it worthwhile for them to spread the word. Number 2, we want to make it easy. But number 1, most important, we want to make it remarkable. We want to make it something that is like so good they can't help but talk about it. Because you've all had that experience with some business or another, where you left, and you were like, that was one of the most amazing, whatever it was. Best massage I've had, that was the best experience at a car dealership. That was the best restaurant I've ever been to. Like, if you've ever been to a restaurant where the service actually blew your mind how good it was. I went to this restaurant in San Francisco, my friend, Ali Starr, called Greens, vegetarian restaurant. And the service was so good. Like, we were both vegan at the time. And and so everything, we didn't say it, but he just picked it up from what questions we were asking. And so when he'd come back, he'd be like, you know, there's this little sample of a vegan butternut squash soup, and I just want to let you try this. And we got some vegan bread, and he was just on it. Waters were always full, but unobtrusive, and it was 100% tip at the end. Plus, we wrote him a note on a napkin, and you know, because it was so good. So when the service is that good, people just can't stop talking about it, or vice versa. If it's so bad that happens too. But it's got to be remarkable. It's got to be so cool. That's how word of mouth actually works. It's remarkable, we make it easy to spread the word, and then we make it worthwhile. When people spread the word, we acknowledge it. Man.
When you were talking about filtering before, we've done some trade shows, and my sense is that people are there to find out about whatever new stuff there is or what people are selling, that kind of thing. And it's always such a paradox. It seems they're walking around looking for stuff. It's interesting that they're looking for stuff. As soon as you say hi,
Right.
they just shut them down. And how do you deal with stuff like that?
Well, so the question is about trade shows, yeah? There you have this booth, people are walking around checking everything out, then you're like, hello, and they're like, skedaddle out of there. So, I'm not an expert in trade shows. I wish I was. There's people who probably know a lot more than me. But what it speaks to is this pressure. Because you all probably, you can relate to this experience. You go to a craft show or a farmer's market, and you'll walk through the whole thing before you stop anywhere. Because you want to check it out at a distance, safely. And safety is one of the most the importance of safety is so underestimated in marketing. Because I think we look at marketing as like, well, y'all aren't really human. You're just automatons with no agency, and I'm acting on you. You're just prospects. And so I've got to act on you in some way. There's that. And what's really happening is, you know, one of my colleagues, Corina Gordon-Barnes, she said, stop looking for your ideal clients. Because your ideal clients are looking for you. So then the question of marketing becomes more about how do you make it easy for them to find you. But then once they found you, how do you make it safe for them to approach you? And the art of making things safe is a huge art in marketing. So part of that obviously is if you have a trade show booth, having signage where it's very easy for people to see what you're about, so they can check you out from a distance. Because you know the worst thing if you go to a, because the thing we don't want to have happen. Sorry. Sorry, SARS. Not soon enough. Not soon enough. What you don't want to have happen is that when you're at a farmer's market or a craft show, is you go up to the table and then you realize there's nothing you actually want to buy. But now you're talking to the person. So then you're like, oh no. Now I've got to buy something. Small, it's just small, to just let me off the hook of this. Or I have to walk away awkwardly at some point in the trailing conversation of just, that's great, well I hope you're, what are you doing? So we don't want that. We don't want that awkward conversation, so we don't even engage in the first place. We just want to check it out. So, yeah, signage that people can read. Not just flat on the table, up. Things they can read to check out, is this a fit? Is this something I want to know more about? And then they approach us. And it's why like the samples of things work so well, you know. But this is the whole thing, is like selling and marketing becomes the process of how do we reduce pressure. Because if you go with a free sample, but everything in it screams, this is the bait that we're going to hook you with, and you're not going to get out of this conversation for 15 minutes, you don't even want to take it. So it's tough, and trade shows are a crazy situation because there's hundreds of things. So I think, there are other strategies too, in trade shows, but it's, I don't envy people in the position of working huge trade shows. So it's a similar farmers market craft show. So much of it is about display, and so much of it is also, are you even in the right trade show in the first place? Because I know people who they think their target market is one thing, and then they go to trade shows with those people, there's no response, and then they go to some other trade show and there's a huge response, or some other craft show, and it's the same product but just in different places, and there's a different kind of response to it. So yeah, I'm not a trade show expert. I wish I was, but it's my understanding is a lot of it is about, it's like, do you have something that they would want, but then also how do we make it safe to approach? I wish I had a better answer for you on that one. All right.
Starting with him at 10 o'clock today in the back room there. Feel free to join us. I think we have about 17 so far, so we're open to taking some more. I'd like to send out another thank you to our sponsors, Reverse Dealer, the Jungle Farm, and Bullskit Comedy for having us here at the Scott Block. And another shout out to Open Highway, who sponsor us for our social media display there. I encourage you, if you're having an event, Kelsey and Blair are right over here. You really do have to be so close, hey? The next social media breakfast will be held on Thursday, August 18th at the Holiday Inn and Suites on Gasoline Alley. And we do have our speaker confirmed, but I'm going to hold off on that. And that's it. If you're staying for the workshop, again, we'll be back there at 10 o'clock. Thanks everybody for coming.